In my last Shooter 101 video, I give tips on how to get good by learning to dominate the screen space. And I got such good feedback from so many people telling me how it helped them improve that I had to make another one. And just like last time, I'm going to keep it simple and give you just one method to practice that will help you up your game to the next level. Do you ever watch expert gameplay and how they just make it look easy, but when you play the same game, you look like a fish flailing around out of water, gasping for air? Tell me about it. This is way harder than Fortnite. That's because experts have found a way to play the game on easy mode while you're still struggling to play it on the hardest setting imaginable. I knew it! So they are cheating. No, they're not cheating. Pay attention this time instead of watching PewDiePie streams during my video. Anyway, so I'm going to show you how the pros go about making it look easy and methods that you can use to do the same. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and then show you methods to go about practicing it. Are you ready? I'm going to show you how to make it look easy by learning to break the game. Wait, what? Break the game? How do I do that? Any shmup has one goal: to kill you. And our natural instinct when playing any game clearly is to avoid death. But what I want you to do is the opposite. I want you to die. Okay, I was with you on the last one, but now I think you've taken one too many hits of that crack pipe of yours, Junkie. Maybe I should take over the show. This is going somewhere, I promise. I want you to die on purpose, with a purpose. When you're simply reacting to patterns trying to survive, you're not learning. And it goes against the primary way that we solve problems. Experiment. I'm going to say it again. Experiment. We learn by making mistakes. A shmup doesn't want you to do that because a shmup only has a certain amount of tricks up its sleeve. And once you figure out a way around its tricks, you own it. And the way to figure out a shmup is to die on purpose with the specific goal of finding its weak points. When I say break the game, what I really mean is break down the game. And you do that through experimentation. Alright, enough exposition. Just show us what you're talking about. Watch this clip of DOJ on stage 4. I just recorded it last week for my top 5 hardest shmups on the Xbox 360 video, and this area is a perfect example. Notice how I'm getting through this section on raw skill alone. The enemies are coming in from odd angles, and it's taking a lot of effort just to stay alive. While it makes for fun footage to watch, it's the hard way through. I'm out of position and fighting against the waves. While this is something that I do often in my gameplay videos, it's because crazy dodging makes for entertaining gameplay. It's showing off, basically, but it's not the right way to play if you're looking for the most efficient way through a stage. And it's certainly not how the pros do it. I'm working way too hard to keep the game from killing me. I haven't broken the game. It's having its way with me. I just happen to be surviving by the skin of my teeth. Now, watch this section again after I figured out the flow of the enemy waves, or a much easier route. Look how much simpler the exact same section looks and how I can just float back and forth on the screen, flowing with the incoming waves of enemies. It's literally to the point where I'm doing almost no dodging at all. Clearly I'm playing a much easier game. All of the game hasn't changed, but something has changed. I've broken this section of the game by making it easy, and I did it by dying, exploring different approaches over and over until I found a perfect route that works for me, and now I can breeze through this section whenever I play it. Yeah, but how did you figure it out? I keep dying, but I'm not getting any better. Because you keep dying in the same way and expecting a different result. You're not experimenting with sometimes random, counterintuitive approaches to see what might work. So what I'm going to show you next, like I said earlier, might just change the way you view shmups forever. A shmup can be broken down into two things: dodging and timing. That's it, and they're inversely correlated. The better you are at timing, the less need you'll have for dodging. If you suck at dodging, work on perfecting your timing. Now, I might get flamed for this analogy, but shmups actually have something in common with rhythm games, like playing Guitar Hero. Only instead of pressing a button at a specific time, it's about being in a specific position on the screen at a certain time. Think about it. The screen is scrolling, like in a rhythm game, and as it scrolls, the notes, aka the enemies, work their way onto the screen. In rhythm games, as they get harder and notes scroll faster and faster, you can't possibly be quick enough to randomly react to them incoming. No, you get good by knowing in advance where and what notes are coming, and your fingers are already in position to press the right notes at the right time. So perfecting a shmup is all about timing and position. If you approach it like a rhythm game with timing and always have your ship in the right place at the right time, you'll be moving with the flow of the game, and the amount of reacting and dodging you'll need to do will be minimal. Pros call this approach routing and will map a specific way through each level, like a dance. And while I approach games more casually and don't turn games into homework, mapping out my routes on paper, I still go through and experiment with hard sections of a game until I find my ideal way of approaching it. I'm breaking down the game, section by section, just in my head, and remembering how to approach each one. And this ties in directly with my first Shooter 101 video, if you remember, where I focused on dominating the screen space. The #1 way to keep the incoming enemies and bullets under control is to experiment and perfect your timing and position on the screen. That'll break down the game in your favor, making it easier to dominate the screen space. Treating a shmup like a rhythm game also applies to bosses, and here's a perfect, simple example. This is Undeadline on the Mega Drive, a game that I played for the top 5 hardest shooter series when I did the Mega Drive. I'd never played this game before and chose it on reputation alone, so figuring it out was a learning experience, and no section more so than the final boss, which at first seems pretty impossible. It fires out bullets and beams at such a speed that trying to dodge them by reflex just isn't realistic, especially at that close proximity. So, like I just mentioned earlier, it took experimentation and dying many times in different ways to find the pattern or the rhythm. But once I did, it was a simple matter of playing a rhythm game. 1-1000, shield 1000, 3-1000, dodge, repeat. 1-1000, shield 1000, 3-1000, dodge, repeat. And all of a sudden, this brutal final boss is a pussycat. Tell me that wasn't all about timing and rhythm. Game broken. So now that I've told you the basic idea of it, I'm going to suggest one of the absolute best ways to practice both dodging and timing through experimentation. In my mind, there's no better mode that combines these concepts than a Caravan. For anyone not familiar, a Caravan mode is a short, normally 2 to 5 minute long stage, where the goal is to score as high as possible before time runs out. It throws all sorts of obstacles at you, and the way to master it and obtain an elite score is to perfect its timing. You'll learn to be at the exact right place at the right time at any moment, and already know a few steps ahead of where you'll be next. Just like a dance, like routing, you'll be rewarded for killing enemies as quickly as possible, and the difference between making it to a bonus in time or not is often measured in fractions of a second, so timing is critical, just like it would be in a rhythm game. A well-made Caravan is a masterclass in learning to experiment, to achieve perfection, and when you're good, you'll make it look easy, and be able to apply it to any shmup you play. When the popularity of shmups were at their peak during the 8 and 16-bit days, when they were still called shooters, Caravan modes were the primary means of competitive play. Games like Soldier Blade and Super Star Soldier on the PC Engine. But there's a modern Caravan game that's free to download and accessible to anyone, Omega Blast on the Mega Drive. And if you're wondering, yes, this is going to tie in with the Omega Blast Caravan event that I talked about live a couple of weeks ago, and I'll give details on it at the end of the video. Omega Blast is a boot camp in learning to perfect timing. When you're in the right place at the right time, you'll know it, as the amount of dodging you're doing will be minimal, and grabbing every single bonus will seem much simpler. And when you're in the wrong place and your timing is off, oh boy, you'll know it. There's a whole lot of bullets flying around, and they'll make getting to any of the bonuses much harder. Omega Blast is perfect practice because it's clear as day whether you're playing in rhythm with the game or against it. And the way you'll get good at this game is learn its bonuses and timing through dying over and over again, just like I talked about, through experimentation. And when you're done and have become seriously good at the game, you're going to take your newfound method of experimentation in learning the rhythm of a game and apply it to future shmups you play. So as my final act of benevolence, I'm going to give you a quick run through of this 2-minute mode, showing you every single bonus location and how to get it. I'll show you boss strategy for killing it faster. I'll show you how to manipulate the incoming waves of enemies so they're where you want them to be and out of the way of your bonus points. And then I'll unleash you into the world to play it yourself and get good. Watching this video and referring back to it will help, but nothing short of practice yourself and experimenting will get results. On top of that, Omega Blast has a proper boss at the end, bullet hell style even. For every second you have left on the clock after it dies, you'll get a nice fat bonus. So the boss is a race against the clock to find the fastest way you can kill it. That means it gets a lot harder when you're trying to point blank it and squeeze out another second of bonus time. So are you ready? I'm going to show you how to score over 900,000 in Omega Blast. It only takes 2 minutes. Are you ready?
Ready.
Go! Note this gold block bonus. There are six in the level, and each one you grab doubles. So while this one is trivial at 2,000 points, by your 6th pickup, it'll grant you 64,000 points. In total, they'll add up to 126,000 points. Nothing to scoff at. So one of your goals is to not miss a single one on the stage, and I'll show you all of them. Immediately afterward is your first section of S blocks. These are the big points. Destroy them all for a 64,000 bonus. But you better be fast, because if you take too long and the screen scrolls too far, you'll get nada. The following section is tricky, as you've got 4 8,000 bonuses here hidden among the blocks that add up to 32,000 points. But you'll need to manipulate the incoming waves so they don't bullet hell you into missing any. More on that later, but note these bonuses hidden amongst the blocks. Right at the end is the second gold brick on the right, worth the next 4,000 points. And here's the third hidden gold brick, 8,000 points. Right up ahead is the second S set for another 64k. Careful here, as depending on the enemy wave, you could have a splatter of bullets coming your way to keep you from getting them in time, or kill you trying. The next 16,000 bonus right up here is easy peasy. Just be ready for another S set for another 64k coming right up. This next gold brick is tricky and easier to miss, as it's off to the left side. Grab it for what's now 32,000 points, and prepare for an onslaught of enemies before you reach the boss. Quickly grab the final gold brick on the right for the last 64k, assuming you didn't miss any of the other ones. You're in the home stretch now, and enemies will bombard you here. There's a final set of S blocks coming up for your last 64 bonus, and if your timing is off, they won't make it easy. Just like I barely squeezed through here by the skin of my teeth. Okay, so you finally made it through the stage. You grabbed all the bonuses. You've got your best score yet. And now it's time for the boss, that I like to call Big Balls Hotep. Because if you have a pair, your final score will depend on how big your balls are when fighting it. The closer you can point blank it, the more damage you do. The faster it dies, the more time left on the clock. And he's got big balls, and she's got big balls. But we've got the biggest balls of them all. 10,000 points for every second to spare. Every moment you spend pussing out and not in its face is another 10,000 points down the drain. And if you're feeling froggy or have balls the size of a love sack, you can squeeze your way in between its shield for massive damage and an even faster kill, shown right here with the magic of slow-mo. Maybe big balls, he thought, doesn't come from a score. Maybe big balls, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Shmupville they say that the Shmuppers' small balls grew 3 sizes that day. Get all that? Now you do it.
No.
Aw, come on.
Ready.
Alright, to be fair, the first thing that will happen when you start playing is it'll kick your ass, over and over, because that's what it's designed to do. But armed with my tips, you'll start to experiment. Since the stage is so short, you'll die on purpose, all kinds of ways, and eventually find what works for you. Remember, the first time you play, you can make the goal of simply finishing the short stage, just to see it through. But after that, finishing doesn't matter, but figuring out how to break down the game section by section is what you're after. So your homework assignment to get good is to grab this free game and get practicing. Can you score over 900,000? I'll bet that you can. And when you're done and finally achieve that goal, think about what it took and how you did it. And think about how you can apply that to other shmups. Start approaching them like a puzzle to be solved by experimenting and finding the best way through. Save states, use them, and practice harder sections over and over, just like you did on Omega Blast. Now, if you really are thinking this game looks fun and you're looking to supercharge your practice and improve faster, there's no better boot camp than the 1-week Caravan event that I'll be hosting. This isn't a live stream event, but a limited space, private group competition where I'll create a chat for players only. Think of it as a friendly contest where we all share tips and help each other improve as a group. I hosted a Caravan competition last year for Soldier Blade, and not only was it a great time with a fun chat and interactions, but every player that put the time in and participated made massive improvements in their score. Scoring and improving in shmups can often be a lonely activity, and this kind of group contest changes that. There are always 1 or 2 amazing players in any group, and what happens is everyone else is pulled up along with them to new heights as we all work together to improve our scores. Watching fellow players who started out with scores that were in the gutter make huge gains will motivate you to try harder and to reach them too. And for me personally, it's my favorite part. I got to be part of the journey with several of my online friends, watch them make massive breakthroughs and hit elite scores, and share in that excitement and celebrate with them. And some of us made permanent connections after the camaraderie of playing together that way. Sure, I'll put out regular leaderboards, but it's more to recognize everyone's efforts and gains. Hopefully something everyone playing can be proud of when it's all said and done. If it works for most people, I'm planning to hold it the last week of November, weekend to weekend, right through the Thanksgiving holiday. So plenty of extra time at home and a longer weekend to play for those who can. This is a casual event, no commitments. You get out of it what you put into it. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments so I can get a general idea of how many we have. And I'll put up a community post next week with details on the server and how to join. I've put a link in my description to a download page for the game, so anyone can easily grab it to play. Finally, if you haven't checked out my first Shooter 101 video yet on dominating the screen space and the 3 fastest ways to learn and practice, you can do so right here. And until next week and our big Caravan event, smoke 'em if you got 'em.